Well, hello. I think I'm in making sure. Hello, guys. If you all can hear me, just comment, say hello, and where you're all joining in from. And somebody can just validate, like drop me a little heart or a thumbs up if we're in the right spot. I am within the event, correct? Hello, I see y'all jumping in. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Sharice. Hello, Kim. Hi, Bobby. Yay. All right. Awesome. So we are hopping in just a little late, so I apologize, a few minutes behind schedule, but I just kind of had to laugh as I was walking down and coming to work. And I say walking down, meaning walking down a few steps to come to work here. And my little guy hollered and said, "Mommy, one more kiss." And I thought, no, I gotta go. I'm gonna be late. And then I just stopped and I was like, you know what? Guess what? I can be late. I ran back up there and gave him a little snuggle and joined you guys a few minutes late. Oh, you all like my hat? Yes, don't you? I know where you can find one of these. That means that my hair was unpresentable. That's what that means. So I just thought that was fun. And I thought I would share that with you guys because that's just what this business is all about. I am joining you guys with a ball cap, pajamas, and some fuzzy slippers on down here in the bottom. My little guys are up in their room. And if you missed that, I just was saying that I was a few minutes late because I got a request for an extra kiss on my way to work. And so I'm a few minutes late because I ran right back up those steps and took that extra few seconds to snuggle there as I was tucking the little ones in. So I'm Casie De Lessio, Regional Vice President with Arbonne here in Louisville, Kentucky. I see so many of you all joining in. I love the emojis. If you don't know this about me, I totally speak emoji-ese. So if I ever ask a question or I say something that you like, I love the emojis. I like some hand raises and some fist bumps, So keep them coming. That's how I know that I'm in a room full of people. Because I'm talking to a stinking phone, and I wish we were all just sitting face to face across the table from each other. But with the day I've had, it's probably best we're not. So it's been one of those days. But the good news is I get to talk to you all about something I'm super excited about, super passionate about. If you don't know why you're listening in, one of your crazy Arbonne friends just asked you to tune in tonight. We welcome you. Thanks for listening in. They're not as crazy as you think they are. You're in for a treat. You're so in for a treat. And if you're new and you're confused and you're just like, I don't even know what this is all about, I'm just going to ask you to just have an open heart, an open mind, and just listen. If you're catching us live, awesome. Welcome. We appreciate you taking the time. If you're catching us recorded and you're watching this playback, again, we appreciate you. And the person who invited you just thinks highly of you and thinks that this information could bless you. And so thank them. Thank them for sharing. No matter what your outcome is, whatever you choose to do with this information, shoot them over a little text and just say thanks for sharing. And the best way to compliment them is to take this information once you've received it and pass it on to other people, even if it's not a fit for you. Sharing it with others could turn around and pass that blessing on to somebody else, because that's exactly what happened to me. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to tell you all just a little bit about my story in Arbonne. But we're going to talk about something that if you would have told me 13 years ago I'd be talking to you about, I would have laughed. Asset income. Like asset income. What the heck is asset income? So you're going to find out when we hang up, when we get off this little live here tonight, what asset income is. But I want to paint a little picture for you guys before we dive into the fancy word of asset income and whether or not you could use one. I'm going to tell you just kind of where I was when Arbonne crossed my path, or I always say Arbonne found me. I think, yeah. I love you. I was like, I'm seeing if all right. So I love your hat. Yep. Thanks. Okay. The comments are all over my screen, so I was making sure. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to jump in. 13 years ago, I had just had my baby. I had a 4-month-old daughter, and I was a foster care case manager before I had her, and decided that I was going to walk away from my profession in social work to stay at home with my kiddo. Unfortunately, I was tied to a pager 24/7. I made social work income. So if you don't know what that is, it's not a lot. I did love my job. I love what I did. But when we were expanding our family, obviously my time was more important with them than it was to spend that many hours outside of the home. So I made the ultimate change. I made the ultimate sacrifice, and that was time for money. So maybe you're familiar with that yourselves. Remember, I speak emojis. So if that strikes with you, you can comment below. Maybe you can tell me which one you would prefer to have, more time or more money. Or if you like both, then give me an emoji that represents both down there. But in that particular situation, although we needed the income, I desired the time more. So I made that ultimate sacrifice. What that ultimate sacrifice, and why I keep referring to it in that way, is because that's linear income, guys. Linear income is income that we make because we've traded the time for it. I, of course, knew nothing about that. I just knew that I desired to have the time freedom with my daughter. And I truly, honestly thought I'd end up back at work one day because we would need the money. And once she got older, maybe I'd be willing to, spend less time, as crazy as that sounds. But, our old president, Rita Davenport in Arbonne, used to say, money isn't everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. And so we need it. We absolutely need it. I'm going to share some statistics here with you and tell you a little bit how much as a world, as a society, as a whole, we actually need it. So yes, it's not everything, and time was more important for me in that season of life, but we definitely felt the blow to saying goodbye to a full-time income. And although I was at home with my 4-month-old daughter, I really felt that I was putting a lot of that burden and a lot of that stress on my husband. And so Arbonne crossed my paths 4 months into being a stay-at-home mom. And it was at the time in which my husband was in straight commission, and that particular month he did not bring home a paycheck. And so panic was kind of sticking in. We were like, oh my goodness, if this happens again, we're not going to be able to stay afloat. And so we really needed to get creative. And Arbonne came my way, and it came my way in multiple different reasons and ways and avenues. And it was kind of going in one ear and out the other. I was like, no, I don't wash my face before I go to bed. I just had a baby. I'm broke. All the normal excuses. My favorite one was I actually even said, I'm busy. I do apologize. I have a little bit of a cold here, but I don't feel horrible, but I do have the sniffles, so I apologize if I'm sniffling and it's driving you crazy, because it's driving me crazy too, so I promise to try not to do it too much here, and I'll keep this short and sweet. But anyway, so I said yes to Arbonne, because, at first I was going in one ear and out the other, and I was thinking it was not a fit for me. Luckily, somebody connected those dots and showed me exactly how this could be the vehicle to get me from where I was currently to where I wanted to be. And that was to not have to give up that time and go back to work. I got a taste of freedom for 4 months with that baby girl, and I loved every bit of it. And when you get a taste of what it's like to not have the boss, you don't want to go back most of the time. It's like, don't take that away from me. And so when Arbonne came my way, I share with you that I said no initially just because wasn't even really saying no. I didn't know what that meant. I thought of it as fun. I thought of it as you needed a lot of money to put into it. I thought of it as just something extra. And at that particular point, we felt kind of panicked. We felt like we needed more than that, or he didn't bring home an entire full-time income for a whole month. And so I was just kind of discrediting it. But I heard one thing when I heard a presentation, and it was, what if it does work? And I thought, it's just as easy to say, what if it doesn't? But instead of saying, what if it doesn't, what if it does? And I just remember feeling like this internal hope or excitement. I was sitting across from women that were sharing their stories and telling me how exciting their Arbonne businesses were, and they were making $8,000 and $10,000 a month and driving Mercedes. And I was like, I don't want a car. I don't really care about your Mercedes. No offense. I just want the time freedom. I want to have to not make the decision to trade my time for money. What I will tell you is that I was a hard worker. I didn't mind to work. I had good work ethics. I always saw myself as an employed individual. My mom raised me as a working full-time mom. I never thought about just being a stay-at-home mom just for the aspects of just staying at home. It was just more or less like just how valuable that time was going to be, because you can't get it back. So I saw that vision in Arbonne and quickly grabbed a hold of it and thought, what if it does work? And I jumped in, and I'm here to tell you all 13 years later, it works. It works. It absolutely works. It can work in that definition. Excuse me. That definition of work can be anything. It can be, every one of y'all can fill in below. What would it mean if it worked for you? What would it, if you're brand new and I'm just saying, just pretend for a minute you said yes to this business, what would it works mean to you? Would it retire you? Would it free up one of your 3 jobs? Would it bring you home from a job you hate? Would it pay off debt? Would it give you more room to travel? Would it be able to strike the check for Christian education or private education or college tuition? What would it be? Comment below. Share some of those fun things with me. If you're in Arbonne and you're a consultant and you're joining us tonight, share yours. We love to celebrate just what it means if it works for you. And the reason I like that, and if you're catching this live, take some time to scroll through the comments and see what other people shared. Because as I fast forward out and show you my life now, I'm a mom of 4. I have a 13-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old boy. And that's my life. And so a lot of the vehicle and the definition of it working for me has to do with my 4 little ones. I always tell everybody I don't have one boss now, I have 4. But that's not everybody's story. We have people in this business that are in college, that are not even married yet, that are not even thinking of children. We have a gal who just trained us this weekend locally who's 70 years old and is retiring. And this is her retirement. So we have just so many different people and avenues and backgrounds and vehicles that it's for. So I highly recommend checking out those comments and seeing what everybody is using this for a vehicle for, because I think that oftentimes our passion for Arbonne, we rock that logo and we have it. We're all so excited about Arbonne, and I've been told this before, like, I just am not that passionate about my skincare or where I get my shakes from. Like, you're just so passionate about Arbonne. And I'm like, no, guys, you're mistaking this. I am passionate about what Arbonne has done for me, even more today, 13 years later, than I was when I said yes to this company. When I said yes, I did not know how to dream. I didn't have a large vision. I thought if I could make $1,000 a month, I would be super stoked. But fast forward now, and what I have learned about tonight's topic just gets me so excited. I hope you all can tell just the excitement that I have for what I get to share with you guys, because it just means a totally different thing to us these days. When you're responsible for little ones, or as you're, this is the big year where I turned 40, and you get to these years where you start thinking like, whoa, like that wasn't as far away as I thought it was. Like buying cars and having kids on my insurance and thinking about college and marriage, weddings for our kids is not as far as away as we once thought it was. And so with all that being said, like, are you ever prepared enough for that? Like, you get into these things, and now I'm going to kind of share some statistics with you on any end of the spectrum. They say the average household right now has, I couldn't believe this, I had to reread it 3 times, has $16,000 in credit card debt. That's crazy. They say, taking into consideration inflation, minimum wage today is worth less than it was 50 years ago. Wow. Oh my goodness. I was like, what? So taking into account for inflation, minimum wage is worth less than it was today, 50 years ago. Like, it's worth less than it was 50 years ago. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're setting people up for failure. Like, that's crazy. They say the millennials' median income currently is 20% less than it was for the boomers at that exact same point in their age range. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's nuts. They say more than half Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings. So when you heard that part earlier in my story, that my husband did not bring home a paycheck for the whole month of October, think of that right now. Are you prepared for impact? If something were to happen to your current source of income or your husband's current source of income, how long could you live off your savings? What do what's that picture look like for you? And this isn't like a doom and gloom call. I am going to get into some good news here. And we were going to have a special guest speaker, but my husband is running late and does not get to join us, but we were going to Zoom him in, or share. I think this fun technology allows us to share screens. And so we will have to do this again one time where he can hop on and give us a little spiel. But he is now about 3 years into a financial position where he has learned a tremendous amount about asset income. And so we were just kind of chatting, because he's obviously been along for this Arbonne journey with me. I know when my first paycheck, we opened it up, it was like $17. And luckily he was such a supporter and so excited about any money coming into our home that was extra without me having to leave our daughter and pay for additional childcare costs, that when he saw $17, he was like, oh, that's okay. It's $17 more than you made last month. But then he quickly watched that grow. And within 4 months, we had replaced my full-time income in social work. And at that particular point, he was like, you're going to keep doing this, right? Like, you're not going out of the house without our daughter in tow. Most of the time she went with me. Now, because of the fabulous the social media and these platforms like we're using tonight, I can sit at home while my kiddos are in bed and reach hundreds of you all through the internet. I mean, it's crazy what social media and the internet has done for our industry alone. And it's just cool to see that what we can do and what we have at our fingertips in order to share this information with others. And so we watched that income grow. So within 4 to 6 months, at that particular point, we were celebrating an average income, the second level of leadership, which I'm going to go through all these in a minute and kind of switch gears and talk a little bit about how Arbonne fits into all of this. But the money part gets me excited because it's just kind of crazy when you sit back and you look at what this actually means to people in a financial aspect. Now, granted, he's my husband. He's a huge supporter of Arbonne, and he's my biggest cheerleader. But I want you all to hear with what he tells me when we talk about the numbers in our business. So 2006, fast forward out to my 1-year anniversary in the company, I promoted to the level in which is the third level of leadership in the company. And that's the level where you're awarded the white Mercedes-Benz and an average commission of about $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And so when he was in learning this asset income, when he started with this new firm that he's at, and he was building this, his knowledge in this industry, he said, do you know that if somebody wanted to draw and say mid-range, 5 to 10,000 as our regional vice president commission, so we'll just go to 8,000 there. If somebody wanted to draw an $8,000 a month dividend off of their investments for retirement or as they aged and they wanted to decrease what they were working, do you know what they would have to invest? And I was like, oh gosh, I have no clue. Absolutely. If you know, or if you want to take a guess, put some comments below. I would love to see them. Let's see if anybody's commenting. I don't know how quick it'll go or how live that'll be. But if you know, or if you'd want to take a guess, put that in the comments below. But I was floored when I heard, and I'm going to give it another second, see if any of you are guessing. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I don't want to wait too long. But he told me 1.75 million. You would have to have all at once, have all of that liquid. Yeah, Dawn says no idea. I didn't either. I had no clue. 1.75 million would need to be invested in order to draw a monthly dividend and live off about $8,000 a month. I was floored because guess what? Just in case you all are waiting for the end. Yep, 1.7 million. Yep, April. That's a good guess. I don't know if that was a guess or, but that was a good one. Maybe she knows, but that floored me. I was like, oh my gosh, because you have to think that most people, in order to get that much saved, would have to be taking their linear job where they're trading the time and from the money, because that's the majority way of our source of income these days, and take and save a portion of that and get to the point in which they have a 1.75 liquid sitting over here just in their savings to invest and be able to draw out that $8,000 dividend monthly to live on until, of course, they pass. That's crazy. So I backed that up and I was like, let's just talk about district income. And so I know we haven't gotten into a ton of Arbonne, but since tonight's topic is talking about income, do you know that the average house or an average person that was getting ready to file bankruptcy, just $300 would have prevented them from doing that? And so that's our first level of leadership. That's the low end district pay. So average district managers make about $300 on up to $1,000 a month in our organization. And so I just asked him, I'm like, so if I wanted to draw or live off about $300 a month district pay, what would I need to invest? And that's about $250,000 investment. And so I was just sitting here thinking, like, I made district in my first 30 days before I even knew how to say Arbonne right. And so when I think about that, and then I fast forward and think about the way my life has looked over the last 13 years, I would say that instead of the 1.75 million, most people would say, well, you invested sweat equity. But I started to draw that kind of income immediately. So even though I might have been putting sweat equity in, I was with Arbonne for all of 1 year before I got to see that amount of income and see it consistently over the last 11, 12 years since 2000, what year are we in? So 12 years, being able to see that consistently. And the sweat equity that I've put in has still allowed me to raise 4 kiddos, be super present in their life, work very part-time hours, about 10 to 15 hours a week in the nooks and crannies of the life when I choose to put them in there, not when somebody else is telling me to do that. You know, just as silly as and cliche as it was that I shared with you, I was a few minutes late because a kiddo wanted an extra kiss before I came down to work. I shared that with you for a purpose, for a point, because that's the freedom and that's the flexibility that we have in this business. So I don't know if it's really fair to say the sweat equity is anywhere near the amount of effort that someone who has truly invested 1.75 million to get that return would say that that's even equivalent. So it's kind of like, you almost feel like I don't feel worthy to get that kind of income when you hear what it would truly take to invest. $1 million investment. Yes, I hear that. So, Dawn is sharing, definitely did not have 250,000 when I started. Of course not. So most people don't, think of that kind of liquid income and invest into, to invest into an annuity. $1 million would pay about 5,000 out, a dividend of about 5,000 out. So the low end of regional vice president money, would be equivalent to having $1 million invested. And so the crazy thing, just kind of going back to linear before I wrap this up with, a little bit about how Arbonne makes all this work and the power of an asset income. The linear income is depending on just you. Guys, that's crazy. Like, there's only 24 hours in the day. So if I was a hairdresser, I couldn't cut any more hairs than what my hours of my day allowed me to. If I have an office job and I want to make more money because we're getting ready to go on vacation, or because my daughter's getting ready to get married, or I'm getting ready to pay off some debt, I can only work so many hours because there's only so many hours a day. And then guess what? If something happens to me, that income, something happens to it as well. If I'm not there, I need to quit working, then guess what? The income stops coming in, because it's that ultimate trade, for time and money. Where asset income, people are really starting to clue in here on asset income and the power of asset income. It's like owning a property. It is an income that works when you're not working. So yes, even if I had a rental property, I would still have to, of course, make sure there's light bulbs and that it's all taken care of, but it's bringing in a revenue for me whenever I'm not currently there. So it's not taking my time. So when it's rented out, I'm able to bring in income. But in order to have rental properties, guess what you have to have? Exactly what, somebody just commented a few minutes ago. I didn't have that kind of extra money laying around. Everybody can scrape up $49 to get started with Arbonne and start building an asset income. It's a residual income that will pay you for work you did once, over and over and over again. So in 2005, when I started Arbonne, I started introducing people to the products. They start consuming, and this business pays me over and over and over again, because it's a residual income. No different than every time I walk into Target, I pay somebody over and over and over and over again, because I'm purchasing things that I have ran out of. A lot less since owning my own Arbonne business. I only get the things that Arbonne doesn't sell there, because I've gotten to shift that into my Arbonne business. So hopefully you all, that's kind of clicking. It's kind of, I know it's a lot of numbers talk, and it's a lot of talk that we haven't, that we don't normally share a lot about. Oh, sorry. Oh gosh, sorry. I was getting a phone call. Sorry. Sorry about that. Anybody can do Arbonne. But anyway, so I know it's not typically stuff you hear a ton about, but when my husband and I just started really talking about what it looks like as far as investments and planning for your future, it's crazy to think that we can get to regional vice president. We're celebrating people getting there in as quick as 5 months. You can take that on out and do it at your pace and get there. Take 10 years to get there if you want. But by putting in part-time effort, 10 to 15 hours a week, by teaching other people how to change their brand to an incredible product that we're going to talk about here in just a second, or change their life by diversifying their income and adding an additional stream of income, by doing that, that would be your sweat equity of building up an asset income that you can not only reap the benefits of drawing off incomes that we've discussed tonight, but also have a willable business. The second level of leadership that I talked to you about, that I got before I was even 6 months into this company, is willable from that point on. So once you reach the 3rd level and the 4th level, so there's only 4 levels of leadership. District was the first one we talked about. Area was the second. From area on up, it's a willable business. So it's not only an asset income, it's willable to where you're leaving that on to generations to come. So let's talk about Arbonne. You know, you might think like, oh, this is awesome. I would love to have the asset income. I'd love to be able to see this extra stream, this extra revenue coming in. But what is it exactly that we do? So you pay $49. You jump on board, you immediately get your website, your home office support, everything kind of right then and there for you. And then you get the ability to purchase these products, switch over your brand for your household and for your business at great discounts, super awesome discounts. My investment that I invested, it was completely and totally my choice, nothing mandatory for the company, but my investment was significant because we wanted to make sure that we had all the products to try and to share with others our true testimonies of these products. But I was able to replace that in 90 days and pay that off. So people ask me now, you know, oh my gosh, how much did it cost you to invest in your Arbonne business? I would be like, I would invest, like I would take out a second mortgage to invest in something to give me what I've got now, especially hearing that my pay now is equivalent, just let me repeat it in case you're joining in late, is equivalent to investing $1.75 million. That's crazy. So of course I would take a second mortgage out and invest maybe a whopping $10,000. Good news here is you don't have to invest anywhere near that. $49 investment, maybe on up to $1,000 or so to get your products just for your use, just for your family's use, or to share amongst your in your business, because we don't stock product. We don't have inventory. We have no mandatory products. You're not going to walk around my house. In all honesty, my husband and I were fighting for the last hydration today, because we don't have a stock in here. We're actually out of certain things that we need right now. So it's awesome, like no strings attached. But then once we have this business and we start sharing it with others, we have, we're just sharing products with people. These products meet a criteria that is like no other. We adhere to standards that are super, super high. In the United States, we are not, we currently withhold about 10 ingredients. 10 ingredients is all the U.S. have found and deemed harmful. The European standards has withheld about 1,400 ingredients. And now Arbonne has gone above and beyond the 1,400 mark and has decided 2,000 need to be removed from our personal care products. So personal care products range anywhere from skincare, cosmetics, nutrition, vitamins. I challenge you to just kind of run around in your daily life mentally in the next 24 to 48 hours and start thinking about all these products that you're putting in and on your body and think, oh my goodness, what if I could just do a one-stop shop and get them all from Arbonne? They're all gluten-free, they're botanically based, no toxins, no chemicals, no artificial fragrance or artificial sweeteners, no GMOs. I mean, I could go on and on and on because there's 2,000 ingredients that we don't use, but just they are the purest of science, the safest of science, and the purest ingredients. We have something for everyone. Yes, I love all the comments that are coming in below. Probably reminded me of all the awesome Arbonne tips that I'm forgetting, but I want to wrap this up for you and not keep you too long because your time is important. But just know that you're building a residual income by sharing these products, by teaching people how they can get these products at a discount and teaching them to change their brand. So the products are residual, are consumable. So people use them, they run out, they repeat those sales. You're constantly getting paid over and over and over again for not only your consumers, but also because you're building a network of other people that are opening up their Arbonne virtual franchise. And so you're growing this network of consumers, of other business owners, and then Arbonne is compensating you because they don't pay for advertising or marketing outside of us. We are their word of mouth advertisers. That's where they get to put all their money back into, is to us, to using and sharing the Arbonne with others. So there's 3 ways to get involved as I conclude. You can join us as a client. I don't recommend that. I say I'm allergic to retail. I highly recommend looking at opening up your own business. So you can open up your own business again for $49, shop from your own store, make that store as large or as little as you want, and let others shop from your store. Or you can join us as a consumer for $29. You can be a customer. You get 20 to 40% off of all your products. And again, no minimums, no gotcha. No, I think somebody shared that the other day. I loved that. There's no gotcha. There's no fine line, no gimmicks, no auto ships, no credit card on file, no monthly minimums you got to meet. You just get to shop and love these products. If you choose to share them, then you reap an income. whoever brought you into this business can set you up on a plan to see whatever level of income intrigues you. You can set goals and work that plan. So I highly advise you to get all of your questions answered tonight. Because as Forbes magazine just recently quoted, there is no downfall to a side hustle. So thanks for hopping on. Hope you all learned something this evening about asset income. Get all of your questions answered and have an awesome rest of your Monday.